I summarize the situation. So this village there is included. It's included in the blue zone, as well as the neighboring village. So now we have about 14 villages here that are forming a block that we will name the blue zone. This is very important. And then around you have also some mountain, but the longevity is a bit lower. So this is what I will name the light blue zone. And the rest of the country is not a long-living population. They are not involved in the longevity. So this is really important. This village is in the center of this area that is the blue zone. Okay, so if I want to pick all the village where we saw higher longevity, I will say that all these villages are included. Also these one here and these one here. So you have really an area like this, you see, where the longevity is the highest. And when I did it for the first time, I put it in blue. So this is really the highest blue zone of Sardinia. While this area, the mountain around, is a bit lower longevity. It's a lower blue zone, you see, and the rest of the country is a non-blue zone. It's without longevity. But this is really the main area of longevity.
So tell me, Michel, where did it start personally? This search for longevity.
In fact, there is a two-step. First, I was for the first time involved in centenarian study in Belgium in '92 with my friend. So I was already in the field of centenarian. But this story here in the whole Sardinia started in Montpellier in October 1999, and that was because my friend, my new friend, Gianni Pes, a medical doctor from Sassari, arrived and explained that in this area, men are living as long as women, what is really exceptional. But nobody wanted to believe this. So they decide, I remember this meeting in October where they are, you have to...
What's your personal fascination for longevity?
It's clear that if you have a place where men have the possibility to live as long as women, this is unique on Earth. Because everywhere on Earth, women are, I would say 5 times, 10 times in larger number compared to men. And in this area, you have equal number. So you have something to find, something to explain. And this is unique. It's the only place on Earth where I saw this type of specificity.
And where comes your personal fascination?
It's clear that longevity fascinates me, but why? Because for everybody, living longer is something very attractive. And the recipe to live longer and the secret of longevity. Look in all the newspaper, in National Geographic. It attracts so many persons. When I do a conference on longevity, everybody is there attending the conference, very happy to listen. What are the secrets of longevity?
And why are you fascinated by longevity? You personally?
I don't want to live to 100, okay? But this is a very attractive topic, and suddenly, I don't know why, because I was already in the field of centenarian. But if there is a secret, you have to find it on the scientific viewpoint. You have to find something. And it's a quest. I name it a longevity quest. Mm-hmm. How can we explain that in this place men are living as long as women, and there are so many centenarians in the cemetery? Why? That's the question.
That I understand, but what's your personal quest in this one?
I am a scientist, okay? Which means that I need challenge. And I understand not only that I was personally interested, but that a lot of people in the scientific world are interested with that topic. It's a very attractive topic, even among scientists, and we have no question. And I will say that at the end of the day, I like to do it because it's interdisciplinary approach. The secret of longevity is not only in one field, in nutrition, in sociology, in anthropology. No, it has to bring together all people to try to find the solution. And the solution here is not a simple one. If you find me a gene, that explain 10% of the super mortality, longevity. I say, I will not be satisfied. We have to find why here there are 3 times or 4 times more men reaching 90 and 100 than everywhere else. That's not a small difference. This is a big difference. And up to now, we are not yet there. The question is still open. And I will say that for a scientist, when questions are still open, it's better than when questions are solved. I will say that there is something to find, and that's what researcher wants to do, to find new line. And if we find something, then I will be very happy, but maybe then it will be finished for my career.
But this is like this is the story of the centennials from the past in a way. We are coming into a future where many more people are getting much more older. Every 4 years we gain 1 year, I believe.
Yeah.
How do you see that, the new centennials that are not like raised here in Sardegna or grown up here in Sardegna, but are like the centennials from the future? How do you see those developments?
In fact, you have to understand that the centenarian that we met here, and we are still looking today, are exceptional person. They were a person that has very difficult life in their early life. They have to work hard. They were pastore and so on. And when they were 60 or 70, at that moment they should have some problem with health, but then the health service was improved, which means in the 50, in the 60, they have the possibility to go to hospital, they have a maternity, they have a lot of things. So this is the conjunction of 2 change. The fact that the old generation still work a lot and did a lot of effort and has caloric restriction and so on, and that the modern world arrived with health and so on. And my feeling is that these centenarians are not by hazard. They are the result of these 2 dimensions. That in future, like it is in our country, the centenarian will be more random centenarian, by hazard, people that escape to this or delay this type of disease and so on. So the future centenarian will not be the same as the one we can see in this village. And I have already seen the situation in Okinawa. In Okinawa, there is no more new centenarian coming in large number, because since 45, the American arrived there with the modern style, lifestyle and so on. So the situation for the new generation changed fully. And I'm sure that in future the longevity, exceptional longevity of Okinawa will disappear. And this is my problem here, the young generation. If the young generation will transfer this treasure of longevity. In all my talk in the municipality, I say the most important is to understand that you have a treasure with this longevity. Your lifestyle, your food, your all what is around you. You have to keep it and to transfer to the new generation, so that you will keep this longevity. If not, you will be as a very rare, some random centenarian, and nobody will take care of these person, because they will be lost in the society, in a modern society that does not take care about the whole person. So the situation is fully different. And what we try to do, for example, now in the US, and they try to do it also in Costa Rica, is to take the lesson from this area and to transfer in the modern world. Not to say, okay, go as shepherd in Sardinia. No, this is not possible. But look at what you are eating. Do exercise. Don't stop to do this physical exercise. Your brain, social relationship, take care of the old person and so on. All those points emerging from the lesson of this blue zone could be transferred to our society. And this is the challenge. So our work here is not only for an I will say a very local, exceptional situation, is to see what are these people, what is their behavior that can be transferred for the whole modern society. And in the US, this is very important against obesity, against a lot of things like that. And in our European country, the same, because people nowadays at 90 or 95, they are put on the side just to wait to die. This is not correct. Here, the centenarians are on the top of the agenda. They are the key person. They stay in the family. They are on the calendar in the municipality. They are in the photography and so on. So the role of the oldest old here is fully different. And this is what we can do in our modern society.
And what would that mean for for our society if we would embrace that more?
It means, for example, that to put people suddenly in the nursing home, it is considered in our society as the place where you will go to die. This is not correct. I have seen also in the US place where you may enter in a nursing home, but by step. You go first in the part where you stay with your spouse. Then when the spouse disappears, you go to another place in the same surrounding. And if suddenly you became dependent, you go still in another place. But you are in a surrounding where you don't change. The main problem nowadays, I have seen it in my country, you have a problem of health. Then quickly with your children, we have to take a decision. Papi or mommy has to go to a nursing home and not given a selected nursing home. They have to go in the only one that is available. I have the case in my family. One uncle has to go there suddenly. Within 2 weeks, this is not correct. What I name the last migration, the migration to the nursing home, is the worst that can be expected by a person. You know, during the life course, the lower level of mobility is between 65 and 75. At that moment, nobody wants to move. But after that, there is what I name the last migration. The migration when you are unhealthy, you are dependent. Either you go to your children, you go to nursing home and so on. But in our country, we don't go anymore to the children because the parents and the children does not want. The children are not available and the parents do not want to borrow their parents. So you go to nursing home. In my country, 3/4 of the oldest old are in nursing home. But all the nursing homes are not the same. You have to know that there are some nursing homes that are fully appropriate, but most of them are not at all.
And what are they doing here?
They have no nursing home here. There is nobody in nursing home. What is the situation in this area is that you are close to your neighbor, you are close to your family, your daughter is living with you or in the neighboring house. For example, Marco here is going to spend the night with his uncle once or twice a week. There is a solidarity, full solidarity in the village and nobody in nursing home.
You are in the explorer.
Yeah.
That's the archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Scientifically seen, what makes you an explorer?
I will say that I like to enter in a field where that is not usual for other demographer or the scientists. Very often I see that colleagues will jump on a topic that is already treated by other scientists and just they add a small information. In this topic, it's a new one, fully new one. And it's difficult because it took me 10 years to prove that it's a very important topic. But nowadays, I have seen it this week, these three meetings that I have just beginning of this month. I have a meeting in Tallinn, in Vienna, and in Porto. At the 3 meetings, there were a lot of interest to this new concept. And that brings me the feeling that, okay, it was difficult to convince people, convince researchers that this is a very useful topic, but after sometimes when you keep it, you succeed. And that's, in all my career, I did not want to have an easy way. You may choose more difficult way, but at the end of the day, you may succeed, and then it's really wonderful to see reaction of a researcher and so on. That's very important.
And what topic are we talking about?
We are talking about...
Yeah, sorry. So could you explain me again, why is scientifically seen the archetype explorer fit for you?
I will say that among the scientists, there are very often different opportunity. One opportunity is to jump in a topic that is already on the agenda of a lot of researchers. And then you deal with the same thing, you try to do a new experiment to replicate, as we say, and you bring some small additional information. Another situation is when you develop and you enter in a new field, in a new topic. And that's what I did here. At the beginning, putting on the table of the scientists a new topic, a new idea, a new concept is really disturbing. For two reasons: they don't believe or they are jealous. That's the two reasons. So for me, I have a lot of difficulty, but I keep the line. And I may say that after 50 years, now everybody respects this new concept of population longevity, the fact that blue zones are something very interesting, and there is something to take from this. And I have a meeting at the beginning of the month in Tallinn, then in Vienna and in Porto. And at the three meeting I talk about blue zone, and there were a lot of interest. And people want really to know what is specific in these blue zones, what do you bring as new information. So it's difficult in the career, but when you are explorer, you go in an unknown world. And that's for me attractive. You discover a place where there are no other scientists already in the field. It's difficult, but then it brings you a lot of, I would say, positive sensation.
What are the blue zones in the world? Where are the blue zones?
So the blue zone, now we have 4 blue zones: Okinawa, Icaria in Greece, Costa Rica, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Sardegna. And now I am always working on the possibility to find new blue zone. So I have been last month in Caucasus, in Georgia, and I visited a hidden valley that was supposed to be wonderful, that has been said in the past in the Caucasus there are people living longer. So I went there. It was attractive on anthropological viewpoint, but I visited 6 centenarians and I did survey, I checked the archive, and at the end of my day, I have to consider that all of them exaggerate their age. So in fact, my conclusion is that there is no exceptional longevity in Caucasus. So I closed the door. Caucasus cannot be a new blue zone. Now I have another one on the agenda. This is Cuba. And Cuba, I'm sure there is something. I'm sure there is place, and I have seen a place nearby Santa Clara where there is a lot of centenarians. I visited the cemetery. I have some contact with the data, but to prove that this is a blue zone, I need strong statistical data. That's very important. And these data are not available. That's the problem. Because the government of Cuba did not give the green light. You see, in Cuba, if you don't have a sign from the top, you will not have access to data that are a bit more sensitive. And so I am waiting. The door is open. But what is important, if I succeed to prove that Cuba is a blue zone with a health expenditure that is 1,000 less than in the US, to go in the US and to tell it, you need to have strong argument. You need to have strong evidence. So I will not do it until I have my data and my proof. But if it's so, it will be a boom, because you may show that you may reach 100 in large number in a country where you give only some small preventive and know all these technical of medicine, the new medicine, and no psychiatry, no psychology, and a lot of things are missing in Cuba, and the longevity is there. I have seen centenarian that has no freezer at home. There is no possibility to keep the food. And they give me an ananas. I never ate so wonderful ananas. The sofa are just piece of wood. The house is piece of wood, but the smile, honestly, wonderful. So, children smiling all over the world, these are not the ones that are in the richer country. That's important.
Not in the richer countries?
No.
Do you want to be a centenarian?
No.
Why not?
I have another viewpoint. All depends what you are doing in one day, okay? And I understand that some people at the end of the day may not conclude that they did something on that day. Why, when I see all what I'm trying to do in one day, sometimes it's so heavy and so full that I think it's impossible to reach 100 like this. So it seems that there is a different speed or a different level of activity and so on, so that finally I know some singers die at 50, but they have a full life, full. While other person die after 100 and did nothing alongside their life. So you see, there is a balance. when you are doing study on the oldest old, you have all the same time the idea, I will be there soon. And that brings me a lot of thought, sometimes negative, so I have to fight against the negative. But I have seen this person. I saw the person 116. She is alone all the day. I saw the mother-in-law of my brother. She is 101. And then I discuss with her. And I say, when you are awake during the night, what is in your brain? And then she say, very simply, I am praying, nothing else. But for me, it's a question. What is going on in the brain of these persons that are awake and alone a full day? And is it depression, or they are just looking on their life and pray, as she say, she pray. That's very important. And for me, it put question, because the longevity is in front of all of us. Why marriage, children, and so on, this is beyond. But longevity is in front.
What is for you the most beautiful thing?
I will say spontaneously. The moment that I prefer, when I feel really the most happy, it's two different things. When I see the smile of a small child in a hidden country and so on, smiling, I have photography of children that are so wonderful. Or when I see a landscape like this, very quiet, and some landscape I have been, for example, in India, in Kashmir and so on. You have this so beautiful landscape, and then the problem of my fate erase, and I say it's so beautiful. And for me, these are the most important moment in my life, to see those children and the wonderful landscape that God gave us, and that's very important.
Shall we ever reach 200?
I will say that Aubrey de Grey wanted to say that we will reach easily 150, 200, and even 1,000 a year. I'm not convinced, because he said that with the new medicine you may repair everything on your body. Okay, but I will say that if you have a car and the tire is flat, you repair it. But if it is an old tire, then you will have a new problem just a bit later. I think it's a dream. And this is a point that we are discussing very often between scientists. Is it an upper limit of the life, or it will be an open door to 1,000 years old? I am convinced that there is an upper limit. And nowadays, people does not reach more than 116. 117 is the maximum. And Jeanne Calment, who was 122, there is no change that she will be replaced very soon. That's my point. But this is a very big competition between different theory of demography, because some of these say, okay, there is no limit, and others say there is a limit. And that's important.
And when there is no limit?
When there is no limit, it will mean that there could be a person who will reach 140, but to reach 140, you need to have a number of centenarians that is very, very large, because the probability to reach 140 is very low. So the more you have centenarian, the more you will have the possibility to go to a higher age. And that's why in France, for example, they have more centenarian and they reach 115. In Belgium, it's more difficult. We reach only 112. In the Netherlands, you have a person who reached 115, but this is occasionally. It's not due to the fact that you have a large number of centenarians, but this is random. So I think we discussed just recently, to reach higher age, you need really a larger number of centenarians. And at one moment, the total population on Earth is not enough, so that you will have the possibility to have one person, for example, 150. So this is a question. So on a probability viewpoint, it's possible, but you need to apply this probability to an initial number of persons, and the 9 billion of population on Earth are not enough to get one person reaching 140 or 150. That's the point.
when you look at that village and the next village we are going to, what's happening in the blue zone area?
So in fact, we were going from village to village, and when you have a new village like this one, then you have to assess the level of longevity in this village, and to assess if the level is high enough to be a blue zone. So now we will check this village, and there we will go to another one. And finally, when we were able to put on a map all these villages, we form really an area that we named the blue zone. That's very important.
But when you look at that village, is that a blue zone village?
This village is part of the blue zone, yes.
Proven?
Yeah, it's proven. That means that we have already checked the data. The next one it will be also on the same situation. So we have 14 villages that has been composing the blue zone. One by one we put them together.
And when you look at the villages that are not blue zone, like the non-14, what that are around there, what's the difference between?
I will say that there is not a clear, quick difference. It's a gradient, which means that at one moment you have to do the border to identify what is the real restricted blue zone, the high blue zone, and then you have a light blue zone all around. That is all the mountainous part of Sardinia. And the rest of Sardinia, including Sassari, including Cagliari, Oristano, and all the city, this is the non-blue zone.
And what makes it that they are not able to be blue?
This is the level of longevity. The number of centenarians that you found divided by the number of newborn 1 century ago in these villages is really lower.
Okay. And is that because of different lives, of different?
That's really the question mark. Now, the fact that we identify a blue zone and a non-blue zone, now we are comparing the lifestyle, the food, the environment, everything in the two part, and then we will see what are the biggest difference. And I already understood that one of the big differences is the proportion of shepherd, so the role of shepherd in the past, because in the mountain, most ancestors of these people were shepherds. Why, if you go to the plain, there was no shepherd. This is not the same. They are doing agriculture, they are growing cereal and so on. This is not the same way of living.
So that's the difference between...
That's the main difference for us up to now. That's why the blue zone is concentrated in the area where you have this pastoralism, where you have everybody is working on the animals in the mountain.
Yeah, and that's in Sardinia.
That's in Sardinia, yes. And then it may be that you have the same in other country, but this is a question mark, which means that is it normal that with the same proportion of shepherd in another country, we don't have the longevity? So this is a question mark, okay?
So it's good to be a shepherd.
If you come to be shepherd here, I'm not sure you will live longer. Because you should be born here, you should live exactly as they live here. So it's a very complex thing. So I don't recommend to come here to be shepherd. First of all, nobody is shepherd nowadays. There are a limited number of shepherds, that's clear.
Tell me, the village behind you, is that a blue zone village?
This village is part of the blue zone, which means that we have been there, we checked the data, and we proved that the level of longevity in this village is really higher than the Italian average. There is a huge difference between the two. So we put it on the map, and putting all the village together, we shape the blue zone. And so this village is part of the blue zone.
Mm-hmm. Where does the name blue zone come from?
So the first time that we went from village to village, at one moment I decided to put on the maps all the village, and I mark in blue all the village, so that as it was a blue area on the map, then I decided with Gianni that it was the blue zone. And from that time, when we were discussing between us, we always talk about the blue zone. So you see, this is a girl who died just at 100 and a few days, 14 days, 100 and a few days there. Mulas Leonarda.
How many centennials are lying here?
A priori, you may find in the whole cemetery 30, at least 30, plus those who are alive and plus those who die outside of the village. In total, you have more than 42 centenarians. And among the 42, there are 22 male. And that's terrifically exceptional. Usually you should find among the centenarian 8 women for 1 man only. Here you have the same number. That's crazy. I have another one here. Look, this one, for example. You see, Fortunato, he was 101 when he died. You see, and this is a man, this is a girl. You see, but we should do an itinerary in the cemetery to show all those who are so aged. Look here, you have again, this is 89, this is 90, and it's always like this, 82, 86, and look, this is 92, no, 98, 98. This is for me, when I visit a cemetery, I want to feel this, and if I come here, I will directly say there is something to do, some research. Look, this one is 87, and then you have everywhere 88. Usually the normal age of death is around 80, 82, and so on. When you start to have a lot of nonagerian or something like that, then it's really amazing, and then you say, okay, it's worth to start a research to understand what happens here. And here I discover it directly. And my friend who worked with me is a specialist of cemetery. He is jumping in all the cemetery, and once he was even blocking the cemetery because they closed the door at 4 o'clock and he was not able to go out. But he did systematically all the cemetery of the surrounding to check those who reach 90. And that's very useful.
How many people died since you were last here?
During 1 year?
No, the last time you were here?
Since I was there beginning of March, there is 10 people who die, and among these there are 4 or 5 nonagerian who die above 90, and only 1 who die younger, 70. But I would say that it's all above 85. Okay, but at the same time you have very limited number of newborn, which means that the population of the village is definitely going down quite quickly by natural increase, negative natural increase. And as there is no immigration, because the young people here, 1 out of 2 decide to leave the village. So the population of the village is going down slowly and slowly. Every year you have less and less people. That's a problem for the survival of this type of place, because more death than newborn and more emigration than immigration. That's okay.